I am the Doctor, this is my section. Earth is under my protection. Planet of birth is Gallifrey. I've got 2 hearts, your life is saved. Run into the Master Raw Missy. Come on, Alonzo. Alonzi. I am a Time Lord. No, I'm not rich. 12 bodies a man. Now it's time for a switch. Don't look like that. I'm in great health. You were expecting someone else? Regeneration. Oh, such fun. When I say run, run, run. What's up, my boy? Peace and sanity. Sorry, mustache. Reverse the polarity. Sometimes I'm north, but always a limey, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Jump in the TARDIS, go for a ride, it's bigger on the inside. Exploring all of time and space, oh, what's that? Exterminate.
Cybermen or Daleks, maybe.
Would you like a jelly baby? Time's ticking, we'd best go, a new adventure, Geronimo! I am fantastic, so are you, best come with me, I'm Doctor Who. Welcome to a brand new episode of D4WH. I am one of your hosts. I'm Adam O'Sullivan. Joining me as always, it's Matt Smith's biggest fan. It's Nicchia.
Yes, hello, Matt Smith. Oh, hello.
Wait, no,
hello,
I'm not
Adam.
Matt Smith.
Yeah,
no, my chin's not big enough.
Everyone's Matt Smith to me. I love a good chin. That's a strong chin.
Is that a euphemism?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you love a good chin.
Absolutely, it's a euphemism.
Oh, okay. Today, we are joined by 2 guests. First, you can find him rocking out comedy gigs with his keytar. Please welcome back to the show, the polymath. It's Glenn Stevens.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
It's going well.
I forgot Glenn was the polymath.
Yeah. I did my research.
You did? What, you just listened to one of our podcasts?
Yeah, I just kept skipping until I found this section, yeah. We're also joined by photographer and now filmmaker Stewart Tyrrell.
G'day.
Hello.
You did your research on that?
I did, yes. Well, yeah.
I've got 2 wonderful Matt Smith fans here.
They might not like him
Go the chin.
as much as you.
Well, I don't know.
There'll be a quiz.
Now, Glenn's been on the podcast before, so Stuart, do you want to take us through your history with Doctor Who?
What do you refer to the original series as?
Classic
the classics
series, yeah.
Okay, so classics. So I started with John Pertwee, just at the tail end of when he made the transition to Tom Baker.
Same with me, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Long time legacy of watching that. You know, the goodies first, then Doctor Who, and then Mum and Dad took over for the news. And then embraced the new series. It took me a little bit longer to get into
So with the classic series, you watched all the way through? You didn't take a break?
I sort of lost around Sylvester McCoy. I think I was in high school by that stage.
Oh,
and
yes,
started to develop, interest in women or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You just start
got
to
distracted.
think you're too cool. I think.
Yeah. I must admit, it sort of lost its scariness for me, and it's great. I love the new series. I think it's
awesome.
Absolutely terrific. The new format.
So why did it take you a little while to get into the new series?
I think it was just a case of I think I was studying my masters at the time, and it's just a little bit. Not that that's an excuse not to watch television, because I got a masters in filmmaking.
But I think anyone who has a master's probably understands why you didn't have enough time to watch.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit like a sort of a cash grab, I suppose. Christopher Eccleston to the beginning, and then
okay.
Then watched it, and I thought it was absolutely fabulous,
Yeah.
and then
it's
just
great.
couldn't stop, and then I got through the David Tennant years and into the awesome
Matt Smith, which
Yes.
I think was a really hard time because I was a big Tennant fan. I really liked him. I always thought it was going to be hard for whoever took over from him. Within the first 10, 15 minutes, I was on board with Matt Smith.
Well, the BBC thought the show wouldn't do very well without David Tennant either. Remember, we've mentioned on the podcast before, they were actually thinking about cancelling the show after David Tennant because they said there's no way it's ever going to be this popular ever again. And Stephen Moffat had to argue, no, let's keep going. And okay, fine, let's give it a shot. And now it's near impossible to find a bad review about Matt Smith's Doctor.
Yeah, and the first episode, I just loved it. He was the quirky, odd sort of,
But it was all about the playfulness with him. He had that playfulness, like that overconfident, buffoonish child that is just so endearing. And you just watch it, like the whole custard and fish fingers scene where he's eating all that stuff. He's like exploring and his brain's running a million miles an hour. I
think it's River Song that describes Matt Smith's 11th Doctor as a thousands-of-year-old god with the face of a 12-year-old.
That was the one thing. There were times when you'd watch it and I could actually believe he was 900 years old. He'd have really old sort of eyes, but he still looked really young and fun. And he's the Doctor that, if you were his companion, it'd just be fun and adventures and laughing. And he'd be the guy I'd go travelling with, definitely.
I think he had this really kooky sort of Victorian professor, cyberpunk.
Oh, yes,
sort
definitely,
of, manic.
He kind of looked like a
inventor
physics
type of thing.
teacher.
Yeah.
The best physics teacher. Well, that being the Doctor, he would be the best physics teacher.
He would. I never met a physics teacher I liked.
Before we jump into the episode proper, let's start as we always do with Doctor Who news.
Woo!
Now, Peter Capaldi has appeared in a music video for the song Someone You Loved, which has topped the UK charts and is actually in the top 10 of the Australian music charts.
Oh, I really need to.
No, don't.
Oh.
The rest of the music charts is probably terrible. It's probably all dance music.
Oh, okay.
The song and the video have been done in partnership with the charity Live Life, Give Life, which works to promote organ donation. I recommend you pause this and watch the video clip because it is really well done. Now that we've all come back, the song is written and performed by UK artist Lewis Capaldi. Lewis's dad is apparently second cousin to Peter, which I assume means that Lewis's dad and Peter's dad were cousins. Lewis Capaldi found this out when Peter came to visit him at one of his London gigs.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Is
Lewis a Doctor Who fan? Because that would be a waste if you weren't.
Unsure.
Oh, that's some Sylvester Stallone, Frank Stallone stuff right there. Yeah. Do you remember that song?
Yeah.
What was that song? I can't remember it.
Was it Rocky's theme? Rocky's theme. It's Rocky's theme.
Got punched in the head a lot. No.
yeah.
That's Anthony Mundine's theme. I'm pretty sure that.
In the film clip, Peter Capaldi is shown listening to something on headphones. We then see clips of him visiting his wife in hospital, receiving a letter, and visiting the family who sent him the letter. In the end, it is revealed that Capaldi's character's wife has passed away, and her heart has been donated to the wife and mother of the family he received the letter from. It also turns out that the thing that Capaldi has been listening to on his headphones is his wife's heartbeat. Oh, it's a beautiful film clip. I thoroughly recommend you check it out.
That's so
it's a
sad.
pretty good song too.
I wouldn't want to dance to that. I'd want to lie on the floor and cry.
It is a sad song, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a dance song, unfortunately. Unfortunately, as a fat man with anxiety and a love for KFC and scotch, I'm not entirely sure that there is any part of my body that would be viable for donation. Anyone organ donators here?
Yeah, absolutely.
None of us are taking
Although
our
I
bits
don't
with
think
us.
my husband will let them go.
Oh, dear.
We have this debate often. He goes, you can keep all your organs.
I thought you would have some sort of like arrangement like Mr. Burns and Smithers where he's like, when I die, you will be buried with me. And Smithers is like, yay. Yeah, I wonder if there's an age after which you're not allowed to donate your organ. Oh, this heart's a bit old. Can't
Let's
give
hope
it to
it's
somebody
100.
else. You know, we found you a heart, but it's 80 years old. Oh, actually, don't worry, I'll just die.
Yeah, I'll be all right, thanks. Her
It's just
liver
a
would be
pile
good.
of dust.
It just blows away.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
That Capaldi's doing that.
It's beautiful. And if you ever want to
Why is
see...
Rebecca laughing at me? Why is Beck Tech laughing at me?
If you ever want to see Capaldi shirtless, it's a good way to see that.
I don't know if I ever want to see Capaldi shirtless.
Agreed.
You have to be on Game of Thrones if I'm going to see you shirtless. Everyone on Game of Thrones at some point is shirtless.
Yes, shirtless.
Even Arya was shirtless last week.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, I haven't
Spoilers.
watched... Yeah, I haven't watched it for like 3 seasons.
Get out of here.
I've always said that with Netflix, you need an option where you're like, yes, I want to watch it. No, I don't want to watch it. Or there should be a button like, my ex used to watch it, so I never want to see this show ever again.
Yeah, but...
And that's me with Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I refuse to watch it ever again.
My ex used to fly dragons, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah,
too real,
it's too
too
real.
close.
Too real, yeah.
My ex was a dragon.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a nice way to talk about Dave.
NRL?
Yeah, NRL, yeah.
Today, we will be talking about the 11th Doctor portrayed by Matt Smith, in case
Excuse
you
me
haven't
for a
known.
moment. Woohoo, woohoo.
Okay, sit down back in your chair, Nicchia. The 11th Doctor first appeared at the conclusion of The End of Time Part 2. The 11th Doctor's first full adventure was The 11th Hour, which aired April the 3rd, 2010, and also marks the start of new showrunner Stephen Moffat. His last outing was in The Time of the Doctor, airing December 25th, 2013, although he did make a brief appearance in Deep Breath, Peter Capaldi's first episode.
He did.
Yes.
He did. That was
We had the phone
so
call.
sad. Did have a little cry when that happened because I was like Clara. I wanted him to change back. It was really tough.
You don't understand Doctor Who, do you?
No, I know.
You keep wanting him to transform back into Tom Baker, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
I was disappointed that Capaldi didn't transform into his character from The Thick of Us.
Oh,
Like I wanted a
swearing.
Doctor Who that was just angry and manipulative.
Oh, no, he was pretty angry to start with, didn't
Yeah.
you think?
not angry enough. Like not to that
Oh,
level.
not Malcolm
He
Tucker.
abandoned Clara.
Which Matt Smith would never have done.
Well, he was about to abandon Amy in that episode with the British island on the space whale.
Oh, yes, he
Oh,
was,
right.
because he was cross with her.
He did abandon her and the girl who waited.
Yeah, that wasn't deliberate though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like he was sitting behind the moon going,
Well, you mean the moon that's an egg?
yeah, oh, that didn't happen. It didn't happen.
And he did disappear for, what, like 10 years or something in his first adventure?
What, are you against Matt Smith? Are you like the anti-Matt Smith campaign?
No.
They'll be
I feel
fine.
like whenever someone talks about, because was very difficult to find negativity towards Matt Smith's Doctor, and it's always aimed at Moffat. The only times where I've seen people who don't like Matt Smith's reign of the Doctor, they're always like, oh, well, it's the fault of Stephen Moffat. He didn't do a good enough job. I'm not a huge fan of Stephen Moffat, but I will admit that he wrote some of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever.
He knew Matt Smith's Doctor so well, and it was so clear who it was. I think he was easy to write for, and he got people like Neil Gaiman to write for him with The Doctor's Wife, which is one of my very, very favourite episodes.
And Richard Curtis with Vincent and the Doctor. Oh my God.
That
is an amazing episode.
I just rewatched that and cried through it again.
Yeah, so did I.
And I love, Vincent as well. So I think a lot of people thought once the Ponds left, it didn't work as well. But I liked him with Clara.
I always forget that Clara started with Matt Smith because I associate Clara with Capaldi.
Capaldi.
She was there at the start of the 50th anniversary. She's like, who's that? And it's like, oh my God, it's John Hurt!
It was so exciting. I mean, he was in the 50th. I love that because I wouldn't have hated the 50th without him. But I also love that they brought David Tennant back because, and it would have been great if Christopher Eccleston had been about. But John Hurt, you can't bitch and moan about him. What about you guys? What are your favourites, Glenn?
I always prefer the Weeping Angels. I just love
anything
with the Weeping Angels in it. I watched that again last night.
So Flesh and Stone, is it? And the Byzantine one?
I think season 5, episode 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Those two in particular I quite like. Even the one before it, the one with the space whale, I was thinking that if you could just superimpose that story and replace the whale with Brexit. I would just love to do that whole thing again where the Queen just wants to forget.
I mean, we put it out there. This is what they voted for.
My favourite Brexit joke is the fake article, like the Onion or Batuta Advocate or whatever, that was like, British people annoyed that their long-running drama Brexit has been renewed.
My goodness. And can we talk about The Crown a little bit? Nicchia and I were talking about The Crown just a bit before. Because so Matt Smith is in The Crown as well.
Oh, is he? Yep.
Yes. Oh, you haven't watched that?
No.
He plays a young Prince Philip and he is so good.
Oh, like the current guy, the guy who got into a car accident with a commoner.
With a commoner, yes. So the first 2 seasons were them when they were young, and now it's Olivia Colman's playing the Queen now.
Wow, 2 Doctor Who actors trying to chat each other up.
Yeah, no, the Prince is being played by, depends if you watch Game of Thrones, he's Edmund Tully, or if you watch Outlander, he's Black Jack Randall. Anyone watch Outlander?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Wow. Hey, for the first time ever, I'm talking about something current.
I've seen some Outlander, and Outlander for me is like Adam Levine. It's like a certain demographic of women will just watch that for the articles. You know what I'm saying?
It's suddenly, after a while, like Jamie's quite hot, but after a while it just becomes a soap opera that's set with time travel. I can't watch anymore, but it was good to start with. I love time travel.
At what point did you know Matt Smith was either your favourite or one of your favourite Doctors? Was it from the first episode?
You know what? I've said this before, that for me, I really like the ensemble.
Ensemble.
That's Latin for, I don't know. And
for a shitload of people.
But this is the thing about Moffat that I've always actually liked, is that he writes for ensembles really well. If you look, I think it's Red Dwarf that he wrote, and did he write Red Dwarf?
He did Coupling.
He did Coupling. Coupling was incredible.
It was incredible.
And even if you look at that episode where they did that in reverse, that was such an amazing, thoughtful episode with a group dynamic that just created so much conflict and character that you could watch it over and over again. And I think with Doctor Who, with all the characters, and like even when you see Amy Pond try and hit on the Doctor, like that's a funny scene, and just watching all that kind of stuff happen together, and just little subtleties like the duck pond in the 13th hour, and then
the 11th hour. I'm the one who called it the 13th.
Yeah, I just added the extra 2 because it's that awesome. And
it's the 19th hour.
19th hour, but like even just subtle dumb jokes that are all connected. Like he's got such a great way of writing for ensemble that I actually put it up there with the guy who wrote Buffy, Joss Whedon, because they write for that dynamic. And like even Joss Whedon, like he wrote the original Toy Story, and a lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
So it's always the dynamic, and I love the Doctor and Amy and Roaring. I think that just works a treat because you have these levels of character that are very subtly different, that are always in conflict, they have this joyous connection. They're all virtuous people that you kind of want to connect to as well. You can't be friends with dickheads.
No, we were just talking about that earlier.
That's our slogan for the podcast. You can't be friends with dickheads. Yeah. So get a T-shirt with "You can't be friends with dickheads" on it, and then
a picture of Fraser. What's his face?
Eggface boy.
Eggface boy.
Eggface boy. Eggface boy does whatever an eggface does.
And yes, sometimes there'll be plot holes, but it is Doctor Who. There's been plot holes for years. What worked was his writing and then Matt Smith taking a line he'd written and he would deliver it in such a way that even Moffat didn't see that. And that was his skill as an actor. And I was a big Tennant fan. I didn't think anyone could ever beat Tennant. The first episode, I just fell in love with the character. I've always had a thing for quirky, goofy men anyway. You've met Dave. I like goofy men. And they're fun. They're nice. You know, they're the people you want to hang out with. Why do you think I hang out with comedians? I only became a comedian so I could meet a lot of goofy men and laugh at them.
While it was on TV, I think I was like, nah, this is okay, I suppose. And it's only been in the last few years when I've gone back and watched it and gone, well, actually, Matt Smith's really good.
And going back and watching it again, I was worried that it was going to be like the Christmas Carol, where I was going to be watching it and going, hang on, they're holding a woman hostage and this is a really creepy sort of thing. But most of them are fantastic. I would watch The Doctor's Wife 100 times. I love that.
That's a great episode.
And I love the way when River kisses him, he doesn't know what to do with his hands, you know, and he always scratches his head or his face. So he's got these little quirks that the actor brings that are his Doctor.
That's the childlike behaviour again. Because you remember being like a teenager and having your first date. It's like, oh, what do I do with everything? Like, I have no clue.
I wonder at what point Stephen Moffat decided that whole Amy Pond River Song storyline. Did he, when he wrote River Song, was it in the back of his mind then? Did he do it when he created Amy Pond? Because it feels like too much of a coincidence for River Song and Melody Pond to be like, because they say that the only water in a forest is the river, and that turns out to be River Song. So he's good at that sort of thing. All you have to do is watch an episode where he goes from being like whimsical Matt Smith to being like, you should run. Yeah. You should not have done that. And then go back to whimsical Matt Smith again. And it's like, oh man, this guy could be a psychopath.
Yeah. That's what Tom Baker was like. He could be quite whimsical.
He was a psychopath.
I was reading a book about behind the scenes and they said Tom Baker was a very unusual, quirky, eccentric guy. And if he'd turned up and said, I actually am the Doctor, they reckon everyone would have gone, yeah, we can see that.
Well, Tom Baker abandoned his family to go be an actor.
He was a monk as well.
Yeah, well.
He was studying to be a monk.
I'd like to say that the Buddha abandoned his family too.
Sorry?
The Buddha abandoned his family too.
Oh, okay.
Not that Tom Baker and the Buddha are the same.
I don't remember the Buddha's 5 seasons as the Doctor.
No, it's like he calls it in the episode after Winston Churchill calls the Doctor.
Ah, the Buddha turns up. I'm the Doctor.
I left my family too. Sometimes you just got to ditch the fam if you're out for enlightenment. And
is that what season 12 is going to be? She ditches the fam?
I hope she ditches the fam. Ditch the fam.
And Stuart, at what point did you realise that Matt Smith was one of your favourite Doctors, if not your favourite?
I thought that the David Tennant era was fantastic, and I was that scene on the beach with Rose, and that sort of broke my heart watching it. Admittedly, there was something about Doctor Who that needed a bit of an injection of different sort of adventures and that sort of thing. And I thought that Matt Smith brought the adventure back into Doctor Who. And I'm always a staunch defender of Stephen Moffat because he writes eccentricity really, really well. Watch Sherlock, and it's just such a brilliant, brilliant concept of the sort of crazy mind.
And comedy. He writes comedy well.
Yeah, absolutely. The combination with Matt Smith, this young sort of up-and-coming actor who just sort of brought that unpredictability to it, and that sort of you just didn't know exactly how he was necessarily going to react. Sure, patterns sort of, I suppose, developed over the course of his tenure, but it was really quite exciting. I've always sort of seen Doctor Who as like this eccentric hobo detective in space, and it was great to actually see that sort of come back in. And even though there was romance with River, etc., that sort of developed a little bit later on, it was always a case of just friends getting together and adventuring through space and time. Yeah, so pretty early on, to answer your question, even the first episode, I was thinking this is a really interesting approach. And a lot of the Doctors, I'm struggling admittedly with the new Doctor.
Oh, really?
She's quite sort of found her rhythm yet.
We've said that, whereas Matt Smith, they found his Doctor, the essence, essentially, straight away.
I'm kind of the opposite. I think they have found her Doctor,
really?
And her Doctor is very dependent on her friends. And my issue with the later Stephen Moffat things was that basically it was the God Doctor, I don't need anybody, but hey, I'll bring you along anyway. Whereas this Jodie Whittaker needs her friends.
Davis was doing that with David Tennant. You know, he was this lonely old thing by the end in the specials.
Oh, definitely.
He was depressed. depressing in the specials.
Almost like the middle-aged thought Peter Capaldi, he was a melancholy doctor for me.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Really had that sort of sense of, I've been doing this for so long,
Yeah.
and I'm so sort of tired, and Clara's my spark.
I mean, the other issue with Moffat that I had was that by Peter Capaldi's run, it was like every episode, the entire universe was going to be destroyed and the Doctor was going to die. And I was like, stop doing that. We already know there's a new season. We know that the Doctor is not going to die. At least with Marvel, there's so many characters that people could die at any point, you know. No, we were talking the other day about like, oh, well, Black Panther has to come back because there's a Black Panther sequel. But then someone said, oh, but in the comics, there's 3 other people who became Black Panther. And you're like, oh, wow, holy crap. You know, they could have killed off Black Panther and done that. With the Doctor, you know exactly who the Doctor is. Probably the last time people were surprised, and the only time I've been surprised about a regeneration was Eccleston's season, where I saw that and I didn't know, I hadn't looked on the internet or anything, and I was like, oh, wow, oh, there's a new Doctor. Now it's like a huge announcement, and, you know a year before the series airs. And
he was just a little bit lighter than Tennant. Tennant started out lighter, but he got more and more...
He got pretty dark and deep.
He did get really dark and very shouty at the end.
That's like any job you have, though, right? You progressively get more upset with it as time passes.
You wait till you hear the podcast in 2 years. It'll be, yes, Adam, thank you.
Yeah, great, make that joke again, Adam. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, let's bring out Bjork. Woo.
Leave Moffat alone.
You hated Moffat, now you like Moffat. We know, all right.
Oh, get on it. I'm with Stewart. I think people are unfair on Moffat because he can create such an intricate... Eccentricity is the way to talk about it. Yes, it did get a bit, the universe is in danger, but I did kind of miss that a little bit in Chris Chibnall's because it was all very contained. And so the last episode at least felt like there was a bit more danger.
The New Year's episode. That's the only one I liked.
Coronation Street. I felt like...
That was the
Revelation of the Dalek one.
No.
Oh, you're thinking
Resolution,
about...
sorry.
Yeah. You're thinking about Tim Shaw.
The bus lady.
Rosa Parks.
Oh,
yeah.
That for me was that secured
so
interest to keep going.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
I won't go too much on the new Doctor because
Matt
Smith, but I felt I was being preached to the whole way through the season, and I really had a problem with it. All for inclusion, diversity, etc. But it needs to be organically integrated within the stories and not slammed in your face as it was with this. That for me sort of took away that sort of comfort of putting the feet up, just sort of enjoying the adventure in space with that sort of sense of humanity that always the sort of core structure, I suppose.
Well, that's right. You don't have to invent that for the Doctor. The Doctor cares about everybody.
Like, you don't want to be preached at. But Stewart, have you heard of this thing called CrossFit?
Yes.
And listen out for Stewart's new single, Doctor Don't Preach. I'm in trouble, Doctor Don't Preach.
It was preachy though, wasn't it? Like everyone had a social message that was just...
Yeah, it was. And we did talk about there were times when I expected a PowerPoint presentation to come out, I loved the Rosa Parks one, but they didn't need the bit at the end. We should then be interested enough to go and look it up ourselves and find out what the hell happened. We'll see how that goes. But she's got that childlike quality that I really like.
Everything's there, and I think it's just a matter of them just finding that sort of nice rhythm. Felt like she was imitating the other Doctors for a bit.
And
I get that.
She's also the first female Doctor, so it's you're trying
it's such a tough gig
to
start.
I know.
It's a new showrunner, and Chibnall said from the start, like, I'm not going to do a story arc. I just want to get new people to watch the show, and understandably, because the viewers have been going down.
It's a big sea change,
Yeah. So I'm going to give it at least another season. Hopefully Chibnall will write a season arc. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, even if it's crap, I'll still keep watching.
Exactly. Even if it's crap, I'm not going to be like, oh, Jodie Whittaker was a terrible Doctor. I'm going to be like, well, Chris Chibnall didn't do a very good job.
Do we have an opinion of who the worst Doctor was, just out of interest?
Yeah, I do. It's Colin Baker.
I was going to say, are you going to tell us, or do we have to guess? No. Yeah, it's Colin Baker for me too. I was going to say I've only watched one of his episodes, but it was a fucking entire season of episodes.
Colin Baker on the audios is really good. Colin Baker on the TV series just... and I shouldn't blame Colin Baker because the writing was just atrocious.
Again, it's that thing of like, it wasn't his fault, it was the show.
It really was.
The trial of a Time Lord, where it's like, let's watch an episode of Doctor Who, but every 5 minutes we'll come back and be like, why are we watching this? Yeah. Well, let's continue watching. Okay, let's continue watching. Oh my God, let's stop doing that.
It's almost like after Peter Davidson left, he was a really human Doctor.
Yeah.
He was.
And in some ways, a sort of a parallel to Matt Smith with that sort of
youth,
I guess.
Paul McGann was the half-human Doctor, I think.
No, that didn't happen either.
But it's almost felt like they took all of the humanity out of the character with Colin Baker.
I know that they had this idea that they were going to have an arc where he was going to get better, but we don't have time for that. And certainly in those days, Doctor Who was not in a position to go, let's muck around with the formula. Let's choke the companion and see how that goes with the rating, people. It would be shitty to have the last name Baker after Tom Baker and play Doctor Who. You'd change your name, wouldn't you? Because every time someone says Colin Baker, people go, is it Tom? You know?
Are you related to Tom Baker? And eventually you just say, yeah, I am.
I went to one of the supernovas where he came out.
Tom or Colin?
Colin. And it was one of the most entertaining panels I think I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. He's been really into the whole Doctor Who thing since he left. Yeah, more so than some of the others.
He takes a piss out of himself, and I think, that's a really good thing. And Peter Davidson does as well with the Five-ish Doctors.
What's what considered the worst Doctor?
Worst Doctor? Paul McGann, I think.
Okay.
Only
you
because,
and Chance will be fighting.
Yeah, I mean, is that just based on the movie though?
Yeah. Well, that's all we've got aside from obviously the
because the audiobooks. I actually listened to a couple of the audiobooks.
I think all the Doctors bring something that's really interesting. Christopher Eccleston, I suppose, probably one that I don't have as much respect for because he just won't come back and join in on the legacy of everything.
Yeah,
he gave it up to go and do Heroes in America.
It seems like every time he's done anything where he doesn't play like a single father who has to rebuild his life in England from the north, he's like, I hated doing this so much, because that's what he said about Doctor Who, that's what he said about Thor 2, that's what he said about G.I. Joe.
Maybe he's just delicate. I don't know. I thought he was
Don't say that, he'll badmouth us.
I thought he was a great Doctor anyway, even for the 1 year. I think as he mellows and gets older, he'll turn up.
I think based on the movie, it's not a great...
No, it's hard to judge, and that's I'm just picking the easy one
there.
Yeah,
and that's fine. If you'd just seen the movie, you'd go, don't get him.
I watched the movie recently and, oh, my God.
He'll come back once he's
Eric Roberts.
Runs out.
Oh, you mean the Terminator master?
Yes.
Oh, it's terrible. But Paul McGann has gone on to... He's one of the ones that kept... If it wasn't for him taking on the audios, I don't think Doctor Who would have come back.
And Glenn, who's your least favourite Doctor?
Now, this is probably not going to sound great, but Capaldi. Okay. I really like Capaldi as an actor, but I think for me it wasn't so much that I dislike him, but my expectations were much higher for him. The real question is, who do you want as the next Doctor? For me, because I was sitting back here listening going, you know what? I want Lily Allen as the next Doctor.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Jennifer Saunders or
Dawn French.
Dawn French,
yeah.
Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, yes, yeah.
He'd make it an interesting one.
But he's already done a special as the Doctor. That's the comic relief.
Yeah, referring to. Yeah. Well, it seems like every new role that comes up, Idris Elba's always suggested for he'd be an interesting...
Oh, God.
We're cancelling the apocalypse.
Yes.
We got the new lead for Matilda, Idris.
Yes.
Although they did muck around with Luther too much at the end. But
Luther is... Oh, that's my jam.
Well, I loved Luther, and the last series was rubbish. I didn't like the way it ended. I'm very cross. But anyway,
they got to the end, and he still had all his hair, and they hadn't introduced Superman. So I don't understand what happened.
I don't know what happened either. No, so
thank you, Smallville.
I think he.
Speaking of small, no,
come on.
And he hadn't stolen any cakes. Everyone knows Lex Luthor steals cakes.
Does he steal cakes?
Oh, in the original comics, they showed how bad he was by stealing a bunch of cakes.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's why he hasn't got any free uns. Worst pun ever.
So is that because Superman started in the 50s and some of the worst things you could ever do was steal cake?
Well, no, I think it was one of those dodgy educational counting things, and they were like, Lex Luthor stole how many cakes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Cakes of uranium. Like real cakes.
Delicious but deadly.
Can we get back to that story about the plane I was telling you earlier?
Oh, yeah. Now, Glenn has a great story about a plane.
About those mother effing snakes on the mother effing plane?
Netflix, no, not that one, but it's actually Matt Smith related. So topic for a change at the moment.
You dickhead. What are you bringing topic back for?
Who needs topics, right? I recently subscribed to Stan because Netflix took off the Doctor Who episodes. Yep. So I got a Stan subscription. I know, right? And I watched the Will Anderson special, and he has this story where he talks about being on a plane sitting next to Matt Smith, and there was a medical emergency, and they said, "Is there a doctor on the plane?" And then he just looks over at Will Anderson and just like winks and nods his head and is like, shh, makes a symbol. And it's just like, that's the perfect Doctor story if you ever had that situation.
He's a doctor of Lego. He won't be able to help.
Yeah.
And then they grabbed Matt Smith, they dragged him up to the front and the guy accidentally died because it was like, oh, I'm just an actor.
But it sounds so unbelievable, but it can be kind of true. Like, I have this story where I saw the Queen of England with a kebab, which is a true story. It actually happened.
You did not see the Queen
Oh
of
my
England
God.
with the
I did see
bloody
the Queen of
kebab.
England with a kebab. I was at lunch, I had the kebab, but I saw the Queen as she drove by. So, like, I can say it like that. It's just a matter of phrasing. This was...
Because I can't imagine Liz there with the kebab in the back.
At 3 o'clock in the morning being like,
It's like,
one needs one's fucking kebab.
Yeah.
Get the shandy. Stop being so racist, husband. Like, that's a true story, but it's such a weird story as well. Years later, I saw Kevin Rudd with a kebab. Same situation.
You had the kebab.
I had the kebab and Kevin Rudd and Teresa walked by. I've actually got a photo of this one, though. And it's just a weird occurrence. So, like, you can have those weird, strange stories. I want to meet Matt Smith on a plane where
With a
someone
kebab.
needs a doctor.
I just want to meet Matt Smith.
I
on
just
a
thought you were
plane.
going to say you walk
You
everywhere
always
with
need a
kebab.
doctor, Nicchia.
I always need that doctor.
But I also feel like that could be the start of a Doctor Who episode. Someone's on a plane, they look over, Matt Smith's sitting there, and then so they go, is there a doctor on? And he's like, dun, 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 dun. And like he pulls out the sonic screwdriver and he's like, it's an alien. Like that could be the start of a Doctor Who episode. Why are you all looking at me weird?
Because he doesn't need a plane.
Yeah, why isn't he in the TARDIS?
No, but he has to be on the plane because that's where the alien is.
No, we're
In
just
the
all looking at you like you're weird
baggage.
because we think you're weird.
Fantastic. That's why I started this podcast. All right. Woo, good
Actually,
times.
Die Hard with the Doctor.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. This is how you can mix up the formulas and things. I think. Yeah, just take some inspiration
Legally
from...
blonde with the Doctor.
God, please.
He flicks his hair. Oh, Jodie Whittaker could do it. She's blonde.
She wouldn't, but she
No,
could.
she wouldn't. No, I don't think even Chris Chibnall would do it.
Paris Hilton, maybe.
The American Doctor is just legally blonde with, anyway.
I think Stewart has got show and tell. And it's
Yeah, I was just looking at...
we
the
need
actual-
photos to put up on our
Dun, dun,
Facebook.
dun, 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 dun.
I brought in a box of little Matt Smith collectibles that I've got.
Oh,
And,
that's so cute.
Yeah, stop molesting
Yeah,
my
yeah,
little
yeah.
figurine.
Do his pants come off?
You know, and you look at sort of the likeness, and sometimes
the
they're sort
cowboy
of
hat on.
yeah, this one's got the cowboy hat. I didn't get the Fez one at the
Oh,
time.
look at
but,
the cowboy. But they don't really look as much like him. They're not too bad. Good profile.
Then we got
Stop kissing
River
them
Song. Looks like she's got no neck.
It's very orange.
Yes.
River Song is very orange.
Yes, she's got a good tan on her. So these are, I think, the brand's character, and they released all of the Doctor Who figurines.
Oh, wow.
Oh, she's very orange and her hair's a bit grey or something.
I managed to get one of the new Doctor's figures the other day.
Oh, really?
And
Did you bring it?
they've even painted in her regrowth on the
Oh,
head.
my goodness. Whereas River looks like she just had a perm or a set.
Oh,
No,
it's a weeping angel.
This is
Weeping
the
Angel.
Australian version. This is the Murray Darling River Song.
I'd like a photo of River Song, please, with her no neck. Like it pointed out, River Song has quite a lovely neck and quite an attractive woman. And here she looks like she just had a
Can I
roller
have a
set.
look at the weeping angel, please?
Yes, sure. And there's
Hell yeah.
now this is the one that you know, it's
Hmm?
the Amy Pond in the police uniform, the stripper's uniform.
How have we not talked about Amy Pond more? Because Amy Pond is my absolute favourite. And I know a lot of people complain about Amy as well.
Well, that's a pretty good one
There's
of
one
Amy.
of the silence as well.
Oh, nice.
Oh, they are so good.
I love that this is a visual medium podcast.
That's it, exactly.
It's amazing.
And then
Yeah.
this is the great one. So you've
Oh,
got
the
the
astronaut.
astronaut, and it's got the flip up thing, and you can see a little kid inside. You know, it's
That
quite,
is so cool.
Hopefully they didn't release that before the end of the season.
Promise we're going to put
And
photos
then
up.
you go down to the small scale ones.
Ooh.
So you've got kind of looks I don't know, a little bit more long limbed in the smaller version.
Matt Smith
the
Jr.
long version.
Nicchia, you're the only person that's looking at the camera.
Hang
It's
on.
a bit funny. It's just like everyone's just
We
like
can all
playing
just,
with the little action figures, and Nicchia's just like.
We can just do a shot of us all playing with them in the middle.
Oh, I think so.
Can we get a shot of the
Amy
Weeping
Pond.
Angels and then just closely moving towards the Doctor and Amy?
Okay, let's just pause the recording
one-
and make a little stop.
saw
The long
Okay,
coat.
stop
Pause the
animation
recording.
right now.
We're just going to do like 20 minutes of playing.
Yeah, stop motion time.
There was a great webcomic that had
Hello.
a silence
Oh,
on
sorry.
it, and the silence is talking to a woman, and she's like, "Oh my god, that's so funny." Anyway, so I'll see you tonight, and she's like, "Don't forget." And then there's him sitting at a table by himself. And it's like, she forgot.
And then we've got the large size Matt Smith.
You're the only one who's brought toys.
Oh, I've got a bobblehead
I mean,
Matt
Nicchia
Smith
can go
up.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nicchia could go get her toys.
But if I go upstairs with Matt Smith. I may not come back.
Hello.
It's about the right size, yeah, or you need the next size up.
My goodness.
Then they've done all of these great little comics
Wow.
of different time periods, etc.
Oh.
Can I be Bob, the voice of the angels that killed Bob?
Yeah. You're Bob.
Bob, the voice of the
Hey guys, the angels are
and
disappointed
we-
that we're all talking about merchandise and no one can see it.
Then there's like 2 doctors for one.
Nice.
So this is the 50th anniversary.
Ah, that's really good. Oh, you can just put a different head on them. Oh, that's creepy.
If only you could do that with the real doctors, and then Nicchia could have both Tom Baker and Matt Smith.
I could.
Sold out in Tasmania.
Yeah, exactly.
Too soon?
No, the truth is that I actually wouldn't be interested. I'd be interested in only adventures with Matt Smith's Doctor.
So do you have all these in a glass cabinet or something, Stuart?
Yeah. I'm a bit of a figurine collector, so I've got a lot of
cool.
movie figures and things.
Really?
And,
You are? This
Yep.
is a surprise. All your figurines you brought?
yes,
I was going to say,
yes, I
you
thought it
knew
might be
you
interesting.
you knew you looked Matt Smith when you started obsessively collecting all the collectibles.
I've got all of the doctors in figurine form.
Oh, nice.
I've only got 2 bobblehead. I've got Matt Smith bobblehead and I've got Tom Baker bobblehead, and I've never opened them.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, there's some
Includes
great
aged
ones.
head.
This one's a better one of him. I know, we're not recording anymore, are we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
we're still
Yeah.
recording.
So I find it interesting, Stuart, that, I mean, you're an accomplished filmmaker and photographer, but you don't know how to open boxes.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, I just want to go over and just
Well,
open
sometimes I
all
buy
the
2.
By 2, okay.
Yeah, see, that's the way to do it.
So
right.
yes, there's a few of those showcase type ones. So I've got the War Doctor as well in one of those. That a little bit more,
I love
and-
this one because you get the old Matt Smith head, and then you get Capaldi, and you get handles. I loved
What?
handles. Remember handles?
The robot. Not love handles.
Yeah.
I was thinking Handled by Messiah. It's
No.
a musical thing.
Does anyone else remember that we're recording right
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
finish up the episode, and then we can play with Stuart's toys. And his Doctor Who ones too. Just a couple of bits of trivia.
The girl wants to play with the Matt Smiths.
Can't believe that's the joke that makes you laugh your guts out.
Oh, I'm sorry. That really made me laugh.
Okay, let's finish up with a couple of bits of trivia. When the 11th Doctor first appeared at Amelia Pond's house, he tried many foods before finally enjoying fish fingers and custard. Although the ones used on the show were actually coconut breaded cakes, it has become a test of fan metal to try and actually taste fish fingers and custard. On the 2010 Christmas special of The Graham Norton Show, he pulled out a tray of fish fingers and custard for Matt Smith to try, who ate half of one without even batting an eyelid.
Ah, there.
He went in for the other half when fellow guest David Williams finished his first and asked for a second fish finger dipped in custard. Even Graham Norton ate one before washing it down with wine. The 2 other guests, Matt Lucas and EastEnders star Cara Toynton, refused.
I'd like to try it.
I like that there's a vegan option. Well, the custard's
Well,
not
I
really
don't
vegan.
think there's a lot of fish in fish
Vegetarian,
fingers.
Well, the coconut
ca-
version sounds good.
Well, that sounds a bit
in the
like a
Doctor's
lemon.
wife,
It goes
she
with
goes,
custard more.
do fish have fingers?
That's right. Fish fingers.
Although the 11th Doctor never encountered the Master, the 2 episodes with his first and last appearance had 2 separate versions of the Master. John Sims' Master was in The End of Time, when David Tennant regenerated into Matt Smith, and Matt Smith made a cameo in Deep Breath through a timey-wimey phone call to Clara, asking her to stay with Peter Capaldi's Doctor. Deep Breath was also the first appearance of Missy,
Yes.
who later in the series would be revealed to be the female incarnation of the Master.
She was so good. So, come on, favourite Matt Smith lines. Think of some of your favourite lines. We watched the one the other day, Welcome Back, Lefty.
Yeah, Welcome
when
Back,
he loses
Lefty.
his one heart and he gets him back. Welcome back, Lefty.
I like the line in the Space Whale where he goes, why'd you put the glass of water there? It's like, I don't know. I think a lot of things I don't have time. Or just something along those lines. He just throws it out there. Like his brain's running too fast to even think about what he was saying a second ago. The quote from that where the Queen just shoots a whole bunch of bullets out and goes, I'm the bloody Queen, mate. So basically I will. That's like Moffat wrote. I don't know if Moffat wrote that, but that's a good line.
Well, I like the line in The Doctor's Wife, but I like the one where the TARDIS is a woman. I can't remember her name now, and I just watched it. Idris. And she says, I've just thought of a new game. It's biting. It's like kissing, only there's a winner. That's my favourite line.
And Stewart, any favourite Matt Smith lines?
I always just love the way he said pond.
Come along, pond.
Come on, pond.
My favourite Matt Smith line is, Allons-y. All right.
The David Tennant raised his head.
Woo. I thought we were high-fiving.
I was, but I wanted to make mention of something. Didn't you meet Matt Smith?
I did. I did
With a
meet
kebab?
Matt Smith for about 5 seconds. There was Matt Smith, Freema, and Riversong. And yes, I got a photo with Matt and he signed it because, you don't get too close to them and stuff like that. And it's kind of, you feel like you've had you feel like you've had a cheap one night stand pretty much. But I put my handbag between it. So then I had to lean in just a little more. So it looks like we're best buds. I was 10 for that whole day. I stopped being a grown up and I just sat around like a 10-year-old going, oh my God.
It was also a body swap comedy where you became a 10-year-old for the day?
Yeah.
Wow,
There was a lot of things going on.
I got to meet Missy. She came out to one of the Supernovas.
we'd
and
love
also
that.
Clara.
Yeah.
And
I'd
Peter Capaldi and also Billy.
So I'd love to meet Clara.
Yeah.
Was she really nice?
Yeah, very gentle. A lot shorter than I was expecting. I'm a fairly tall fellow.
Yeah.
But she was short, quite short. Very petite, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
So she's, if you were to date one of the companions, who would it be? It was definitely her for me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Missy was quite a fiery Scot, a little bit rougher than I was sort of expecting.
Oh, really?
But put on a good show.
Freema was the only one that I got a photo with that talked to you, asked me where my name came from. I don't know what I said. I probably just said gibberish. She's tiny, but the loveliest person. And I still say they did Martha a disservice in Doctor Who.
All right, and that's it for another episode.
Is that it?
Well, it's been an hour.
Oh, all right.
Do you want to ask your question of Stewart?
Yes, I will. So, Stuart, everybody who comes on the podcast...
I would love to marry you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. She's only marrying you for the toys.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, TV replicas. TV collectibles.
Or toys.
Action figures, not dolls.
Yes, that's it.
No, everyone who comes on, we ask them what their Time Lord name would be. So
Okay.
Glenn is...
The polymath.
Why?
Well, because I have an insane, stupidly amount of interests.
Always something going on with Glenn. It's either a word that you think embodies you or that is something you strive for. Like Matt Ford, one of my favourites, his was the decent.
This is a tough one.
Hang on, we'll give you time to think.
This wasn't in the research questions you were meant to send me earlier.
The research in every episode, though.
The collector.
Hurry up.
The collector.
Yes, I might have to be the collector.
Oh, no, something to do with your film work, something to do with your
Well,
photography.
it'd be the director.
The director.
The director.
I
Oh,
guess.
there we go.
I'm doing my first feature, so
Yeah.
technically I'm now a feature film director. So.
The director.
He's actually, Stuart, I have to say, is the only person who ever can take a photo of me and they all look good.
Yeah, agreed. Same with me.
Because normally I always have some stupid mouth thing open going,
That would be your mouth.
yeah, that's my mouth thing.
Mouth thing. Yeah. That's not what it's called, just a mouth.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really? It's not a mouth thing.
Unless you mean your tongue, in which case that is a thing that is in your
okay.
mouth.
There
Yeah.
you
That
go.
sounds very Matt Smith. It's like, if he was describing kissing, it was like, you do something with your
very
mouth.
mouthy.
and
Yeah,
just
use
like-
your mouth thing.
I don't know what you do with your hands, though.
You get a photo and you use your mouth thing.
The director. Okay. And we haven't had the director yet.
I don't believe we have had the director. We'll
there you go.
have a look.
Now,
and speaking of that, did you?
Well, I wanted to hear about the feature film, and everyone who on the podcast would like to hear about it. And if they don't, tough, you're going to hear about it.
Awesome. Bonus plug. I am making a film about Brisbane. It is a romantic comedy about a couple of strangers who meet in the city. One of them is carrying a history professor, is carrying something valuable, sort of an artefact of sorts in a pouch that they lose. And some tourists pick it up and they chase the tourists all around Brisbane trying to get it back. And meanwhile falling in love, of course. So
it's like it's sort of like Nicolas Cage's National Treasure movies, but set in Brisbane and actually good.
without the buried treasure. But yes, that's pretty much it. It's highlighting Brisbane. I think I'm not from Brisbane. I think it's a beautiful city, and I've always thought it'd be great to actually see it as Brisbane on screen. I'm a massive film buff with regards to the Australian film industry. Brisbane's never actually been seen as Brisbane in Australian film. It's always Sydney or Melbourne or Perth even. So I thought it'd be great to make
they were going to film The Matrix here in Brisbane, but it was too clean. No one would believe it as an American city because it was too clean.
Oh, really?
So they went down to Sydney.
But Thor Ragnarok was filmed here.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it was filmed as
one scene in the city, the rest down the Gold Coast. And
I look at your photos that you put up on Instagram, and Brisbane looks a lot more attractive through your lens than it does to what I see going around. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the film.
So what's the title of the film?
Brisbane.
There you go. Easy to find. Brisbane the film.
Yeah, Brisbane the film. Very passionate about history as well. The preservation of history is not very well revered up
And
here.
there's a lot of history here, isn't there?
There is, and it's quite a colourful history if you dig it a little bit deeper. And a lot of the research I
There's
found.
some murders and some all sorts
well, there's
of things.
also one of my favourite stories. Sorry, I'm digressing here, and it may not make the cut. Is there's a weekend sort of retreat spot called the Queensport Aquarium, and it's located in Hemet. Essentially, it was the go-to place for anybody who lived in Brisbane to go to for the weekend. There was a beach there. There was an amusement park. This was in the late 1870s, and they had one of the world's first roller coasters there.
Wow.
They had a music hall where they had touring bands do their bits and pieces, and a zoo. And they used to bring animals in, and there's stories about Bengal tigers going wild in the city because the quarantine area was in Turbot Street. A guy was actually mauled to death, one of the tiger handlers. And he used to keep them up in Toombul, I think. We've had quite a few floods, of course, in Brisbane. Yeah. And the first big flood that came through in the 1870s wiped out this place. And there's stories that I've read of people in, sort of surrounding suburbs seeing, like Black Panthers wandering down the streets of Brisbane.
Walking down Brisbane going, it does not look like Africa here.
Yeah, you just go to Supernova, you'll see that.
Yeah, well, that's true, very true.
Yeah.
There's others, like
really
the American
cool.
troops. We had a big American occupation of troops in World War II, and they used to bring over animals from America as mascots for their and a lot of their base work, I suppose, was at the base of Mount Cootha, and once the war finished, they just let them go into the wild. And so there's tales that I was reading about, local farmers and, having chooks in the backyard being taken by these weird creatures that they made.
Wow, that's awesome.
And they were allowed to bring
murders.
that over, and then Johnny Depp brings over, two little puppies, and
right.
Barnaby Joyce goes mad. And
What do you mean goes?
madder. Although,
To be fair, as we found out later, there was a lot to be mad about Johnny Depp for. So
yeah, that's true. And to be fair, we don't have rabies here, so we
And
are
Johnny
trying
Depp
to
does
keep
have
it that
rabies,
way.
so-
Well, the dogs were good.
we tried to stop him from going around biting people, but Nicchia just kept being like, me.
Bite me. No, I'm not really a Johnny Depp fan. He's all right, but
No, he's not all right.
well,
He's
no,
not
he's
all
not.
right.
He's not. But before all that, I thought he was all right.
So look out for Brisbane.
Yes,
the film.
and I should say Adam has actually played a role in the
Yes,
film.
yeah,
I know.
So I got him out for a couple of days.
Bit of a nerd in the film.
Reggie the nerd. That's what I'm calling you,
That's
Reggie.
right.
Yeah.
The history nerd.
Poor old Reggie.
I screw up other people's takes. It's essentially my character.
Do you need a stunt double?
Yes, yeah. Can we
Or
have
body
some
double, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get it into the cinemas and film festivals
Oh,
first. and
cool.
Absolutely. We will.
After that,
I'm looking
we'll
forward
see
to when
where
it gets
where it
turned into
goes.
a musical. So it'll be Brisbane the film, the musical.
I've actually written in a musical sequence for the film.
Oh my god, that's amazing! So awesome.
It's got everything.
And Glenn, anything you'd like to plug?
I'm just still working on Sarcasm the Musical, which is going
are
really
you?
well. But yeah, I'm hoping to get that to Adelaide next year, or at least to a local theatre next year here in Brisbane. But it's coming along really well, and it's really hard to convince people that that's the case. I think I told you the plot,
do you?
right?
Yeah.
You do you?
Oh yeah, Adam. Because like you'd get a girl, wouldn't you? Huh?
Are we still doing sarcasm? Are we still doing sarcasm? Please
No.
tell me we're doing sarcasm.
Guys, I have a cure for sarcasm if you need one.
I'm sorry. Very rude of
Wait,
me.
are we still being sarcastic?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure. A feature film is so much more effort than a musical,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But
Usually you don't write it in 5 minutes and then put it out the next day. Well, you can, but it'll be shit.
but it's,
What,
it's
like
kind of,
this podcast?
but it's actually
Adam-
Dicko from Australian Idol that convinced me to write it, not by his action, because I wrote a couple of jokes.
Did you see him with a kebab as well?
No, I saw him with a coffee, but I was telling him that I invented a cure for sarcasm, and he was one of the few people around the table that got the joke. And it was just kind of nice. I would just get this sense of that people were really into the meta kind of humour, which just doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
I really like absurdism.
Do you have a comedy page on Facebook?
I do now. I have Glenn Stevens.
Oh, I liked
comedian.
you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. You're one of the 60 or so at the moment.
Anything you'd like to plug, Nicchia?
Just finished All In. We had it this weekend, and Adam was on, and he was fantastic.
Oh, thank you very
I haven't
much.
seen you perform for a while,
Ever.
and it really, no, I've seen you a few times. It was really good. It was really good.
Supposed to do 15 minutes, felt like 20 minutes, ended up being 10 minutes. All right, cool.
Got
I
it.
seriously got off stage and was like, oh my God, I think I just did 20 minutes. And I looked at the clock and I was like, I did 10 minutes.
It's all right. It was good. It was good. The audience loved it. Get onto my page and anything. I've got gigs coming up, but I can't think what they are at the moment.
Nicchia Shoot Comedy,
Mm-hmm.
All In last Friday of every month, All In Brewery at Banyo.
And D4WH, the best Facebook page ever.
Is it?
I know I was being sarcastic.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the Nerd Infinite?
The Nerd Infinite, it's a website that you can visit where I put up my short stories and stuff like that, and also check out Adam O'Sullivan Comedian on Facebook.
Just a reminder, D4WH is on Facebook, so please give our page a like. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, D4WH Pod. You can rate and review us on iTunes, recommend us on Facebook, and follow us on Podbean. We're also now available on Spotify and Stitcher. Tell your friends about us. If you see someone on the street wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt, politely go up and tell them they should listen to our podcast.
Get the word out. You're walking along one day when suddenly you see a flash of light and then you trip over. When you get back up, everything seems normal, so you return home. Life goes ahead as normal until you go to download the new episode of D4WH and can't find it. Worst yet, you can't find D4WH listed at all. With slow dread, you suddenly realise the only possible explanation. You've ended up in a parallel universe where D4WH doesn't exist.
Oh, no.
And, to be fair, it does explain why everyone else has webbed hands. You decide that the only thing you can do to make the world right is to start your own version of D4WH, so that the parallel universe can experience quirky Doctor Who commentary. And once we figure out how to travel through parallel worlds, you'll be hearing from our lawyers. Until next time, keep searching the skies for the Doctor. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
This has been a production of The Nerd Infinite. And then the sound of dragons spitting fire and stuff. What? Why are you looking at me like that?